You will be gold! And you will be gold! I really love gold!
Hello, my fellow hunters! How are you enjoying Master Rank Taroth? No, seriously, tell me, I'll wait. Sorry, you want to do what? I mean, I won't judge whatever you're into, but I didn't need you to tell me that. Oh. I, however, have been thinking of something very different, and that is golden monsters. See, way back when, in the day of initial Kulve Tarothin, I saw the Caverns of Dorado, and I saw that they were good. But I also saw that they were a little bit wasted, and I spoke of, well, imagine golden monsters. And golden Rathian or silver Rathalos descend slowly, even when I'm speaking hypothetically! You see, the Caverns of Dorado changes its inhabitants. It infuses them with the very energies and precious metals that are its makeup. Now, there is argument as to whether Kulve Taroth makes the caverns, or, well, she seeks them out and uses the metal found there to adorn her mantle. Given that we know there are Kulve Taroths using other metals, other substances, I'd say it's more likely she seeks these, well, mineral-rich areas out and then makes them her nest, carves out tunnels and territory. But by the by, you just need to look at the endemic life present. There is crabs with glittering gold encrusted in their shells and carapace. But I think the biggest example is the scale bats. They have absorbed the precious metal into their very biology. Their fur is shimmering, their wings are radiant, and they are the tiniest flying wyvern ever discovered. Yes, they're in the same technical classification as Rathalos, and it's just amazing. It's like,
who's the tiny little deadly wyvern? Who's the tiny little deadly wyvern? Is this you? Is this you?
They're adorable, but they do point the way to something very cool, and it's that, well, in theory, if anything came down here, any large monster over enough time, it would be goldified, and whether that would do more than change its appearance is up for debate. But today I very much want to posit, well, 5 ideas for golden variants, because the Caverns of Dorado is just too much wasted beauty to not just pluck other monsters, place them there, and have a good old scrap, okay? I want to fight more things than Kulve Taroth in here. She got so many zones for just her. Share them out, okay? Isn't that right, Rathalos?
I hate your good feelings.
So, at number 5 then, Safi'jiiva. And I warn you, this, well, little pondering discussion, it's very much more on the for fun side of things, just because the idea of goldifying monster in, for example, a little golden variant update down the line, just because they can, it would be a lot of fun, and I will never stop campaigning for the usage and expansion of Dorado. So, Safi'jiiva, well, he's all about that absorbing of bioenergy. It's how his species, well, feeds and goes through their life cycle, and especially Safi, where it comes just sucked from the environment around him. And if he's doing that in the caverns, well, he's very much going to get that golden influence, and there is definitely space enough there for him. Perhaps not so much in the first windy pathway zone, but as it continues, certainly. And mainly what I want here is a Safi'jiiva that is plated in gold, a very deep, rich gold just coating him fully. And what I want it to do is give him that metallic sheen. And with that metallic sheen, almost, you could say, mirror-like, it would be just hilariously good times if his beam, right, reflected off his body.
You're crazy!
if it reflected off shiny surfaces. If you could fire it at a golden wall, have it arc away from it, and then hit himself, have it bounce off himself, and just create this just web of energy blasting from him. Or you could have the sapphire of the Emperor in the final zone, the nest, and have the burning effect actually start to liquefy the entire room. All of the floor starts to just blow away and you just drop into it like the mud effect, and the ceiling just cascades down and it just turns the entire cavern into this whirlpool of fiery golden fury. It would just be so much just fun. I know it's absurd, I know it's silly, but that's the point of this video. I want a Safi'jiiva that has beams bounce off him, that Sapphire of the Empress the Cavern, and makes a goddamn golden tidal wave. Next up then, here at number 4, Vaal Hazak. And the reason I really like this is, you know, we kill Kulve Taroth, her corpse is there, nourishing the ecosystem. That's a big, big corpse. And with it, well, perhaps the Caverns breaks into the Rotten Vail. There's a very good chance it is indeed connected. In fact, it's almost certain. It runs thousands of tunnels under the entire new world. So you have a Vaal Hazak find their way down there, drawn by the stench of death. Our conquest has left, and we have a Vaal Hazak wearing the golden skin of Kulve Taroth. And what I really want here then is for the effluvium now rotting away to, like all the other tiny organisms in the caverns, take on that golden hue, so that when Vaal Hazak spreads his death, it's still, you know, very much deadly, but now it is very much gold dust-like, and it sparkles through the air, it shimmers. It's almost this wondrous fairy dust cloud that's so, but then you inhale it and die! And I think that would just be wondrous. You could have these gold particles that are the effluvium constantly land and nestle on your hunter, and it slowly builds up this casing of gold so that you're not just effluvium debuffed. No, you find your movement slowed as it builds and builds and starts to maybe get to the point where you're feeling encased, where you can't bend your limbs because there's just piles of golden effluvium making it real rigid as, well, you cough your lungs out from now not just being eaten by flesh-eating bacteria, but also having the inside of you, well, coated in metal. Not great, is it? But I love the idea of golden toxic Vaal Hazak that looks so beautiful, but is so very deadly. Again, real silly, but a really fun idea. That's the video. Next up at number 3, and this one's gonna be quick, but alright, here's the ideas pitch, okay? Coral Pukei-Pukei, but instead of water, it's golden Pukei-Pukei, and it fires gold. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I just want to see a Pukei-Pukei doing the amazing spiral spin flying attack where it coats everything in water, but instead it's just, well, slicks of molten gold that your hunter can tumble through. And look, okay, there is a little bit more of a basis for this. You know, when Kulve Taroth melts through the walls to the zones and it, well, causes that just flood of beauty. Well, I want a monster that weaponizes that. I want to get, like, Namiel tidal wave moved along, but with gold. And yeah, kind of similar to the whole Safi melting everything and causing just that complete flush of raging torrents of molten metal, but they call Pukei-Pukei using it much more condensed, much more focused, and absolutely just coating your hunter in it. And if you don't roll it off fast enough, you get turned into a golden statue that you need to be broken out of. Someone needs to hit you to crack it, or slap you with a fire weapon to melt it. And yeah, that would be silly, but it does work as a mechanic and is something worth pursuing. I think you really could just throw caution to the wind and do things absurd like this at the end of Iceborne just for the absolute fun of it. So, then we go to Nargacuga. I love Nargacuga, my favourite pseudo-wyvern, and all in all, a right stand-up chap.
Well, thank you.
No, you don't need to thank me, Naga. You're sexy.
Oh, no, you can't make me blush. It'll show up too much against my dark fur when I'm hunting.
Okay, Naga. I realize I'm sat here having that conversation with myself, pretending to be an imaginary monster. And look, Nargacuga is probably the most practical on this list, because the idea of a very lost Nargacuga ending up in the caverns is pretty cool to me. And look, Nargacuga's ancient forest, but Kulve Taroth very much left a golden chip way back at the start in the ancient forest. It was the very first little mysterious mission to tracking her down. So clearly there is an exit of the caverns close enough to the ancient forest for that to happen. So there's nothing stopping Nargacuga being drawn down there as the curious little cat that he is and giving himself a lovely golden coating. And with him, what I mainly want is just to use the verticality of the place, because he can leap and jump and climb with the best of them. And seeing a Nargacuga go from pillar to golden pillar, and then every time he flies through the air in his assassin way, it leaves just this shimmering trail of gold as it's shaken loose from his fur. His tail swish quill shot can turn into golden quills that don't just bleed you, but poison you, because they pierce you, and your bloodstream is now, well, flush with gold, and you get yourself a bit of metal poisoning. And again, I realize I'm being as loose in my justifications of how this would happen and why would the monster suddenly be able to do this as Frontier. But sometimes, credit to Frontier, the rule of cool is the rule of cool for a reason. And I need to see a Nargacuga perfectly blended and still against a golden backdrop before pouncing in a cloak of dust, shimmering and, well, catching his prey. It would be amazing to see him prowling through the precious metal. Then, at number 1, okay, we have ourselves Radobaan! No, Tigrex, you're not here. Okay, you're not here. Radobaan, to me, would just be the way to go here. He's kind of been forgotten, left by the wayside back in normal world. He didn't really get anything to do in Iceborne, except, well, kill me.
I'm following you.
Whoa! What? And you know what? That's one of the best deaths I've ever had. So, again, credit to him. But him going to the caverns, and again, they are connected to every zone, at least on the mainland, so the Rotten Vail getting there is very much not hard to believe, and him rolling through that place, I mean, imagine what would happen. His tar that's covering him, sticking the bones, would very much find itself suddenly yellow, shining. It would pick up the gold everywhere, the particles of it, the little chunks of it. If Kulve Taroth had melted a portion and he rolls through it, it's now all sticking to him and mixing, and he's leaving just this golden, gooey trail wherever he goes. Radobaan would also absolutely work in the first windy pathway zone, because you can be minding your own business and he's just there rolling round it like a racetrack to get to where he needs to be. You could totally do a super golden variant Radobaan, and you don't even need the bones anymore. You can have golden chunks of boulder just stuck in his now golden tar, and they can go dunking off of him. And I like the idea that wherever they land, they just make a perhaps permanent little obstacle you can't walk past. Just this chunk of gold, nearly the height of the hunter, has been shedded from him. You might have to add a little bit of a mitigation mechanic so people don't get literally trapped behind them and they just can't move without a Farcaster, but you know what I'm saying. A Radobaan leaving this sticky trail of gold that you do get caught in, that, well, traps your feet as it slowly hardens, and if you walk through it as it does, you get rooted to the floor until you can break free, that has environment control by dropping the these golden boulders off his back, and I just need to see it. A gold-plated, armored, and tarred Radobaan having a right old time in the caverns. Even the second zone, he could go up on the ledge and roll all the way around it, jump to the other side, and yeah, I realize I'm getting preposterous at this point, but I think him having that golden infusion, and as such using it to his advantage and becoming really quite powerful, at least bumping him up to tier 2 in variant form, would be just so fun. The Golden Trail Radobaan is here for business, and I think he deserves it, because Radobaan is honestly quite an awesome monster, and he very, very much does get forgotten about a lot, I feel. So there you have it. They are my 5 ridiculous golden ideas that, despite being ridiculous, I still think would be incredible fun experiences. I'd love to know your thoughts on them, alright? I'd love to know your own ideas for golden monsters, and like if you've enjoyed your time listening to a madman speak madly, and subscribe for more. Oh, good boy.
Rage Gaming with the video float.
But that's all that's really relevant at the mo, but I'm still gonna leave this up so you patrons know that I love you, even though the outro's no longer that kind of relevant. But the new one's being worked on, and it's gonna be a truly badass song, and don't worry, I won't be doing any rapping on it. I'm gonna go now. This was shit.